introduce.
Now, I would like to introduce the one, the only, me.
Hey folks, it's Dre, Tattoo Squid Podcast. We're here with Chris Williamson, a comedian extraordinaire. Been on the roads of many colleges, maybe many, comedy extravaganzas and a whole bunch of lingerie shops. And and a diner near you. Yeah.
Every
But
diner from Queens to Montauk, pretty much.
yeah. Yeah, so Chris, say hi to all the squid and maniacs out there, and yeah, the little those the, I usually call them the squidarians, or squiddies for short.
Yeah, I like
Uh,
squiddies.
yeah, squiddies. I want to try to make a shirt that says squiddies on it, or Squid Army.
Hmm.
So,
If you
but
get,
tell the people what who are you, what you do, and and then we'll get into it.
yeah, I'm a stand-up comic. Been a stand-up for over 20 years. My website's at notmature.com. I always plug that. Done a lot of road comedy, club comedy, and I do corporate stuff now too, which is nice because corporate comedy actually and corporate stuff actually pays as opposed to, working the road and doing that kind of stuff.
You're like, hey, give me my money. Okay, here's your money right now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me go back to the diner. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like you want to drive 12 bucks to Altoona, 12 hours to Altoona for 20 bucks, like yeah,
Oh,
pass on that.
yeah. Now, how much does a comedian go? Well, I'm not gonna say it like that. Like, how much does a comedian go for? It's like one of those stripper grams or something. But well, how much does a comedian usually get? Or it depends on where you're at or where you're playing at.
It really depends on where you're at. Like if you're a headliner that can fill seats in the best clubs, the sky is the limit, as far as what you can make.
Yeah.
When you're starting out on the road and you're hosting shows or whatever, you might be getting $50 a show or $100 a show. It's not in the beginning, especially, it's for the love of the game. It's not for the money that's rolling in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like what was it? Because everybody goes to like different things like they were perform. But because I hear stories from, and we know, our friend Key, which is also a comedian, and he's been doing it for I don't even know how many years. I mean, I know he's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, he's closing in on 20.
Yeah, yeah, because he in the beginning he was doing music, so he knows the ins and outs of like being on stage and not being stage fright.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be like, okay, let me think of people in the underwear. No, no, I don't want to do that. No, you know.
I don't want to
But
think about most of them in their underwear.
yeah, well, there's some of them that like the one person that we know probably just walks around without any underwear. you know,
Yeah.
but that one woman, I'm not gonna say who it is because I can't remember her name anyway. But the one that we were talking about like a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, I guess.
Oh, I remember her. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. They comedian on stage. They had to stop the show to say, "Your skirt's a little short, and we don't like how you're sitting on the chair." I remember that show.
Yeah,
You were
so
there. Yeah.
so folks, we were at a many moons ago. I don't know how long, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, probably way before the pandemic started, and there was a flea market that's in Long Island. It's basic flea market. So the woman wants to go and do something different, which is fine. It's great. And she made like a Lala's Lounge, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to have like people go over there to like either play music or do parties and whatnot. So they did a comedy. What it was more like a talent show kind of thing, I guess it was.
It's like an open mic kind of thing.
Yeah,
One night.
and then we go in there. Now, I'm no comedian, but I'm like friends with everybody over there, so I'm hanging out. I want to see how the shit goes, because like I said, we know Key, and he's a comedian, and I went over there to see what's going on, and all of a sudden there was like this girl looked like I don't know. I don't want to say anything demeaning to anybody, but she
Right.
looked like she had some kind of like she was on drugs or something. Because
Right.
it looked like she had track marks
Yeah.
like on her was it arm or something or on her leg. Because when you said about the dress, it was so short, that you could see look like track marks. But I don't know.
I'll let you in on a secret about comedians. Some of us do drugs. There have been a few comics that have been guilty of that
Yeah,
over time.
remember Laka from Taxi? No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. But we go in, we're watching this whole thing, and everybody goes up. Chris went up there. A couple of people went up there. Well known comedians have been up on there, and here's this girl comes up there, and the stage light is on her. She's at the thing, and people are sitting in the front row, and there it is, all in her glory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember. And
yeah.
the owner basically stopped the show.
Basically, yeah. She's like, no, and she took the light and like turned it away and is like, cover up, your hoochie is showing.
I
You
remember.
know, and it was like, and there's like things where, uh, because, and I knew for a fact because I've gone with like hanging out with people that have done comedy stuff and been on stage, that could be some kind of thing that is part of their act. You know what I mean?
Could be.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what Key was saying to, you know, the owner. It's like you
Yeah.
don't stop it. That could be part of her act, and it's the thing. It could be like, oh, listen, here's a play gun, or like, make it look like some kind of thing, or yeah. But it was actually a crazy night, and
And we actually did a roast in that flea market too for Keith's 50th
yeah.
birthday.
And he had a bobblehead. He had a bobblehead
Yeah.
made up from his wife made a bobblehead of him, and it
Yeah.
it looked like Kerry King from Slayer, where he got shorter.
Yeah. I remember I followed. There was a Cher impersonator there that was singing, and when I went up at Lala's, and this is one of my lines, I went up and I said, it's cool following Cher. I said she sang "Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves," which is pretty much the people who shop here at Lala's.
Pretty much. And you know what's funny? I seen her.
Oh
I
yeah,
seen her.
it's good. She was good,
Yeah, she
really
looked
good.
exactly like Cher.
Yeah, I
No,
have a picture with her. I love. It's one of my favorite comedy pictures. She's really good. I think her name's Louise Bruno. Like she's a great Cher impersonator.
yeah, I don't know. I don't have the card to like promote it and all that, but I
Yeah.
mean, just look up Cher and the name that just like completely forgot about my name, the name as it is, but because I'm starstruck, people. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
So,
But
but yeah, she does a great Cher impersonation. She did the whole thing with the Indian headdress and
yeah.
everything. It was just fun, and she did it for a couple of gigs, over there as well.
Yeah.
But as it is, Lala's Lounge is no more.
That's a
Um,
good example of, especially like for new comics, that's the type places you'll play sometimes. You'll play a flea market, a bowling alley. I've done parking lots where the stage was the back of a pickup truck. When you're starting out in comedy, those are the type places you'll play a lot of the times. And for me, it was like coming back. Like I'm friends with Key, so if he has a room, if I'm off, I'll come down and do a spot or whatever. But even now, like I'll still go back to those type rooms to work out new material and do things like that.
yeah.
It kind of keeps you grounded. When you're, you know, this,
You play some like weird places as it is, and I've been there too. When you, let's see, a cat.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
What is that called again?
I've done that out east where there's cats running around while you're on stage. I like that.
Urine around somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. I love the pets though; those are fun. We did Well, I just saw you at like what was it called? Like the Collective Consciousness. It was kind of like a spiritual type place.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's well, let's give some insight, for the people that are like, what the hell are they fucking talking about? I'm like, it is what it said it is. It's a collective consciousness of the herbs, sage,
yeah, crystal.
oils, whatever. And then in the corner there's like this, like, my favorite part of the place, where it's like all the, like, the weird shit, which I bought a couple of things while I was there when I saw the comedy thing going on,
Yeah.
and it was actually Key's birthday at that time.
Right. And
Um,
I was waiting to go on. My green room was like the massage room. I was like all like I was chilling out on the massage table and
yeah,
stuff.
you were asleep or something. Yeah,
It
like, I'm having a great time.
was very relaxed.
And I saw that chair after everybody was clearing the shit out, and
Yeah.
I went back there. I'm like, where's this chair? I'm like, aha.
Yeah. That was a cool place though to do a show. It was packed. It was great,
Yeah.
great crowd, right? It was great, really good crowd. I mean, it was fun.
No, it definitely was a lot of fun. It is like, it was very humorous and very like a close knit kind of like group and all that. It was almost like we were doing like a séance. Which, there was one comedian, a comedian. I think she is like some kind of what the hell they call, like a Wiccan, or
Spiritual, yeah, where she
yeah,
talks to people from beyond and stuff, and
yeah, and she's a comedian as well. And that's like a crazy mixture.
yeah,
But
but
she
fun.
was
There's a lot of material there too.
definitely, you got up there and you did your thing. Key got in there, did his thing, and that the short guy that was wearing a lot of red. I forgot what his name is, but I was like, wow.
That was Richard the Head Parisi. That was his name because he's a little guy in red, but he's got like an enormous head.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Ooh, that's where you're going at. I thought it was something else.
But I would say we're not that clever with our nicknames, right? Like he has a big head, so he's the head. We
Yeah.
couldn't come up with anything better than that.
It was crazy. I was like, wow. And then I can't remember the old guy's name, and he was like tall guy, glasses. He was sitting next to the lady we called, like, I forgot. Remember the thing where he had to adjust his belt? He had to find his belt, like a new belt.
Uh, oh, that was yeah, that was my friend Steve Kalba. His belt like broke, I think.
Yeah, it's something like, like, I need a new belt or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? What happened?
You don't want to perform comedy if you're afraid your pants are going to fall down.
And then usually it gets everybody's laughs. Like, ah.
You don't want people to laugh if your pants are down, though.
I know, it's crazy. It's like, you get the whole thing going, and and you get crowds like this. Okay, cut it down now. All right, so see, that's the only time I'm going to get a laugh, because I do that kind of stuff.
There's one joke I remember about that night that it was Tugboat Manny. If you remember Tugboat Manny was on.
Oh my God, yeah, he had everybody rolling.
Right, I loved him, and he said they asked him for his height and weight. So I said 5'10", and they said okay. And what's your height? I don't know. Just the way he said it was funny.
But what was the other thing? He said something, and then the woman in the crowd, she had no idea. I forgot what the word was.
But yeah, I don't remember. But you see all types in the crowds, especially these days.
Well,
I mean,
he was saying something about, I think I think it was Trump or something. He was doing like a Trump joke or something, and then he said something about, I guess it was the vaccination things or whatever, and then
I don't remember.
yeah, he said something, and then all of a sudden the girl's like, "What is this?" And everybody started rolling. Like, I was in tears, and even the comedian, the Tugboat, he was just like.
Yeah.
Like, he had to turn around, like, holy shit, she doesn't fucking know.
Look, sometimes the crowd is helpful. You know what I mean? Something funny, something genuine and just natural just comes out in the crowd, and it ends up being a running thing through the show.
Yeah, and then they just kept on going on, and then towards the end of the thing, we had like donuts, that Key's daughter made for him. You know, and it had like pretty much all comedians like a picture on them.
I was really depressed because I'll tell you about that. Key's daughter did make donuts, and
You didn't make yours.
yeah, I didn't get one. I said my face on a donut would have been at least 100 likes on Facebook if I posted that. There would be nothing more natural than me on a donut.
Don't worry. When I do this, we call it episode art. Then I'll make I'll have a donut and I'll put your face on it, and then it'll be all good because that's what I usually do with this whole thing. It's like I'll do that episode art, and then it kind of like that's why I was asking if you're on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, when I go and do this, like I go and make the episode art, and I post the video and the audio, and I'll tag you on there, and then that way you see the episode art as well, and then you're like, oh wow, because apparently I'm not tooting my own horn, but some people say that I'm kind of somewhat famous making these things.
Yeah.
So
toot away,
huh?
Toot.
Yeah, no, I mean we go. That's what I do. I put up there, and they're like, "All right, where's the art? We need to see the art." One guy was like, his name is Big Nick, and he's like part of another like a podcast, like a set of 5 people. So I had just him on, and then I did the episode art, and I put it on there, and then I was gonna have this other person, or I had this other person on, and he goes, "Oh, you're gonna be on the show?" It's like, wait until you see the episode art, and all of a sudden she's like, wait, what? Because the person does like talks about like sexual stuff more, like what gets you not really like the sense of what gets you off sexually, but what makes you happy in life, like people like yourself do comedy, or put make boats or whatever, what kind of like relieves you and get you in like a nice somber moment, I guess. So, and mine was like podcasting, music, whatnot. So
well, that's one of the things about comedy. You've talked to some of my closest friends, they'll tell you like this. There's nothing more exciting than like a great show, or like a band having a great set,
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
What's your favorite band, actually?
It's a loaded question because there's a couple bands on Long Island that I'm kind of tight with that I love, but my favorite is definitely a local band. They're called OL Amore. I just saw them last night, actually. It's basically like a cover band, 80s type cover band.
Yeah.
But like bands that everybody would know. Like I met Def Leppard. They are the greatest guys.
I saw that on your Twitter. I saw that. I was like, Def Leppard, nice.
Yeah, like so they're definitely my number one. Just I mean I loved them since I was a kid, but like then when I met them, they were the greatest. They're the greatest guys, just great guys.
They still look the same.
Yeah, I know. It's a little weird though. I saw the new video. The lead singer Joe Elliott's got white hair. He let his hair go white. I said, "Wow, he looks so, like in that respect. Like, how many rock stars let their hair go totally white?
Well, no, I mean there is like, no, actually, no. I gotta think about it because I don't remember some of them. Maybe the guy from Genesis, but Phil Collins, maybe.
Yeah.
But there is some people that do have in bands that have white hair. I'm like, now that I think about it, I'm like, I can't even see Key with white hair.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to change his whole fucking comedy skit,
Yeah. But he like this. I like going to live music on Long Island. Like I'm friends with this band iRock. They're great. They do like 80s stuff, but they do like Rat. Like they do that. Their lead singer's got kind of a Vince Neil kind of thing going on. Even though he's a Long Island guy, he's got blonde hair, and you feel like he's from LA.
Yeah.
But he was on tour like in the 80s, record deal kind of thing. And I just sit with him and we compare notes. Like he tells me these crazy road stories and stuff. His name is Mike. He's hilarious. But their guitar player, if you see this guy, Tom Jordan on Long Island, he's great. He's playing in he's in IROC, he's in Decadia, he's in Big Shot. He's a great, he's got some stuff that he does like on his own, like away from those bands. Like I like to see people like that, like the local live guys. They're
yeah.
This guy Tom Jordan's great. If you see him anywhere, He's really good.
Oh, I'm gonna check him out. Yeah, we can want to take a look because I remember like years ago, me and Key went to before he was doing comedy stuff, and he was a musician for like Stone Pony, Enemy, which is like NME,
Right.
and we went to like I'm not even gonna say I was like a roadie, but I was like that drunk friend that always hangs out. It's like like you see me like when we go to like the diner and all that. We go down there and it's like I'm not saying I was drunk at a diner, but it was like that kind of thing where you sit back and you have a nice dinner or a nice like coffee, and then you just shoot the shit like we're doing now. It's like that kind of thing, and just make fun of like waiters going by or whatever.
I can
But
tell you that's one of the greatest, like my memories of being a new comic, like back around 2000, 2001, were always the diner runs. The diner runs were the best part.
oh yeah.
And we would just hang in diners till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, which,
Yeah, now if they do stay open that late, nowadays they're like, oh, we got to close at 11 or 12 because, well, it is, the pandemic.
yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was the slinging, writing jokes back and forth, slinging jokes around the table, and it was fun. It was a lot of energy, like in those diner runs. And then we got to know the diner. There was this diner. It closed down. It was a diner in Center Reach, this on Middle Country Road. But there was this guy Gus that he was funny, and he was probably as funny as the comics. He would just rip on us all night once he knew we were comics. And,
Yeah.
but then he was also a type guy that was like, here's a joke you can use in your act. And it'd be like an internet joke that everybody's seen 1,000 times. But there's all these like colorful characters that were on the diner runs and stuff. They were always fun.
Yeah. No, definitely. We could. It's just like, I think I kind of know what the diner you're talking about because I went there.
I think it was the Suffolk Diner. I think that was the name of it.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what because it's like an old. As I'm not saying it's an old looking diner, but it looks like a landmark kind of diner. It's not like your run of the mill diner that you see around
Yeah.
nowadays, like the same ones.
Like
But
he and I have a friend named Tommy, and Tommy he would just drink a lot of water and constantly go to the bathroom. So one day Gus would just mess with us, and Gus just walks over. He's like, he had this heavy accent. He'd be like, Tommy, no more pissing. Go home, use your own water. Just like ball breaking, but the best.
yeah, it's like being at a bartender, but he owns a diner.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a friend of mine. We call it. Well, I still do. I mean, I haven't seen him in a while. Maybe tomorrow I'll see him. But his name is Pat. Pat Bishop. He used to go to like different, bartends at different bars. He's been doing it for like 40 somewhat years or so. First time I met this guy, I go to the bar. It's a bar called Garfield's in Bayshore,
Mhm.
right around Main Street. You remember when they had the strip
Yeah.
Bayshore and all that? They had like
Yeah.
all the bars going all the way down. Now it's like
Patchogue
conglomerate.
now.
What's that?
Like that now. Patchogue. They've got
Yeah.
bar after bar in the village.
Yeah, meatballs. Yeah, exactly. It's like right down there. But it was like that, but an earlier stage, like in Bayshore. That's how I think how it all started. Well, anyway, so I seen him there. First time going into a bar after getting out of high school, which people I was of age.
Okay.
Okay, we'll just keep that at that. And we get in there. I'm drinking. I'm like, I love this bar. I'm like, oh my god, I love this bar. I want to be buried behind the bar right there. And then in Pat's form, he's like, all right, well, good. Then that's the place I'm going to go and piss on. And I'm like, oh, really? You gonna piss on my face? Man? I'm like, I didn't want no golden shower, no. But it was like the funny, and then I still known him for what I think it's like 30 somewhat, about the same amount of years as I've known Key. So that's like after 30 years or something. So, but you have any drunken war stories, or you were like been doing like comedy in a bar somewhere?
Oh, we did. Especially in the beginning, we did so many bar shows, and so the very first time I was on stage, I actually took a class. A few of us took a comedy class, and so our first show was in like a comedy club. All the conditions were perfect. It was a nice crowd. My second show was a bar. I think it might have been like Bayshore, like on the water. Maybe it was like Porky's or Porky and Glenn's. It was something like that. It's 20 something years ago.
Yeah, that's right. Like, I've
And
probably been there and I don't even remember it.
they hated us. They hated us. They like the Yankee game was on. They weren't turning the TVs off. They were yelling at us to shut the hell up. They were, you know,
Yeah.
it felt like Blues Brothers when they were playing behind the chicken wire. You know, it felt like that kind of thing. You know, they hated us.
Yeah,
And
Roadhouse with that blind, we could, band member.
and that's the biggest thing for comics is getting through the first year or two or three. You're mainly doing like bar shows and stuff, and
Yeah.
you're performing in front of other comics that don't laugh. You know, occasionally you have a couple of drunks that listen to you, you know, at the bar or, you know.
Yeah, you get a couple of good ones here and there. It's like you never know, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a professional, but from what I've seen, I noticed it's like, you do like some kind of thing and they're like, yeah, yeah, oh, that's funny.
And what I tell new comics now is like if you're doing a bar show and there's a bunch of drunks and a bunch of comics, and because comics go to open mics like at a bar show or something and they're looking at their own material. Maybe they've seen you 12 times. They know your stuff. They don't really laugh, you know?
Yeah.
So what I tell new comics is if you're doing like a bar show, if you get any kind of reaction from the people at the bar or the comics, that's probably a bit that's going to work on stage, you know, in like a comedy club.
Yeah.
If you get just a little reaction, that's all you need on those shows. But it's hard to. When I did that first bar show, I remember I emailed my kind of like my first one of my first mentors, and I'm like, man, this was brutal. I don't know if I'm cut out for this. And he was like, well, get over it because this is going to be like the next 2 years of your life.
Yeah.
Be a comedian. It's going to be doing the bars, and you're going to be around drunks, and they're going to tell you suck, and
Yeah. I
and
get that too.
those
My
are not
mind.
get paid.
I get that too, but when I walk around, I'm like, "You suck." I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I actually got you sucked this afternoon from my girlfriend, pretty much, So,
Oh, there you go.
but thankfully, I'm used to it now because it's happened to me 1,000 times at bar shows and stuff.
Yeah, because it's like, your person, like from what I've seen, and I've been hanging with Key and his wife Teresa, and the people that you're close to give you the best kind of like accommodation or something of what, your best critics, I guess.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, as a comedian, you can bomb, but there's nothing like bombing in front of your family. Because they're privately saying like, "Oh my God, what's he doing? What is he doing?"
He could have been that guy in the cubicle,
And I still feel that pressure. Last summer, I was at Governor's in Levittown, which is that's the big comedy club on Long Island. That's like the Yankee Stadium of comedy clubs is the Levittown Governor's. Everybody has played there.
Yeah.
And I was doing a show, and my father brought his whole office to the show. And I remember thinking, I'm doing this 20-something years, and I'm going, don't suck tonight. Don't suck tonight. Dad's got his whole office there. So it does put added pressure on. So I kind of get it when they say athletes struggle when they play like if you grow up in New York and you play for the Yankees, that can mess you up because your family and friends are around you. Sometimes it's better to play away from where you grew up because there's less pressure. Like I totally get that now.
Yeah, definitely. Like you go to like Canada or something like that, you're like, well, I don't know anybody in Canada, but
Yeah, no distractions.
Yeah, you just going to family somewhere else, I get with these people, it's like.
Yeah.
So have you gone anywhere like, I know you've gone all over like the States and all that. Have you gone to like Canada? Have you tried going to like another country maybe? I don't know.
I've been in Canada. I was in New London, Ontario, right before COVID.
Yeah.
And my friend Eric had another comedian, Eric Tartaglione. He had just been in Canada, and we both had this same opinion. The Canadians are freaking nice people. They were like unbelievably nice. Like you can't believe how nice they were,
Yeah.
as opposed to here.
There's a couple of podcasts that are that I had on that are from Canada, and they are such the awesomest fucking people in the world, and they are very supportive. They're very like for instance, there's one called Film Rage, and this guy Jim, and I love this guy. This guy is like awesome. We always talk about different shit, different liquor. I had like a list of like 5 of the most like obnoxious like liquor or drinks that
Yeah.
you'd be able to drink, and one was called alligator sperm. Um,
I wouldn't drink that.
yeah, one was called the hot Mexican hooker.
That I would sample.
I don't know, but yeah, I had to listen what was in it, and then a smoker's cough. What was the other one? Well, the last one, which is not something that you're gonna see everybody drink.
Mhm.
It was called a Kim Jong Un nuclear bomb,
Really?
and basically this had you need a blender, so you get a blender. The only liquid part of it is a lot of vodka and a milkshake, but then you have like pretty much the McDonald's Happy Meal going into it, and you blend that shit up, you
Yeah.
know. And they're like, "Is there meat in this?" And they're like, "Yeah." Oh, is it McDonald's? And they're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "What the fuck?" Yeah.
Yeah.
And they taste it, and they're like, yeah." But Jim's like, "I'll try it." So, but yeah, it's like Jim's like my greatest like supporter. He's always called me the Squid God. Uh, hail my Squid God. And
Do you remember like the first time you ever got like super drunk, like the next day, like your first like horrible hangover? Like I do. I mean,
oh god, I had
um,
so many of those. It's just like the first one. It was like was it my birthday? I don't know. I know I was drinking before I turned 21 with
yeah, me
quote
too.
unquote people. That didn't happen. But it was like, oh my god, you wake up and you're like, it's a head. The room was spinning. My very first room spinning moment.
Yeah,
Just laying there and it's like, oh my god, oh what the fuck, And it felt like a Ozzy Osbourne video. I'm like, ah, Jesus. Yeah.
yeah. My
Never,
parents.
never did a throw up thing in the bathroom.
I did. It was Jack Daniels. I didn't drink Jack Daniels for years. I only just started drinking Jack again. But I was at a restaurant. My high school, like my 18-year-old girlfriend dumped me at the time, and I knew a girl that was a bartender,
Yeah.
and I just it was just shot. I was going shot for shot with some old guy that had been drinking for like 50 years.
Oh God.
And I remember he said to me, "You're going to remember me in the morning," that kind of thing. So my friend he drove my car, but he drove me home like in my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my parents had just redone the house, and he pushed me in the door, and I passed out and threw up all over the new carpet. Right. And my mom was sitting there when I walked in, and she just like left me on the floor. She just like left me.
Oh my
So next day I
God.
had to clean it up. And my friend Nick brings my car back. So we get in the car, and he rolls, like the windows were down. It was the summer or whatever. He rolls the passenger window up, and there's just puke up the window. I must have threw up outside like the car. And like,
I've seen those days. Yeah,
oh,
man.
yeah. And so for like 25 years, I didn't drink Jack Daniels. I couldn't, if I smelled it, I felt sick.
You're like, oh, I remember that night. Gee.
Yeah. And something happens when you get older. Suddenly you can drink whiskey. All of a sudden, Jack stopped bothering me.
Man, yeah, pretty much Jack Daniels, I think, was the one that did it for me. I think at one point. Well, I mean, I would do Jack and Coke or whatever,
Yeah.
and rum and Coke, I could do that like no problem at that point. Now I can't. Now I don't drink anymore. But uh, the one drink, and I think I said this on this show, that there is a thing called Strohs, Strohs.
Yeah.
It is like liquid caramel, and it's hot. It's like if you were, if you were tongue kissing Alien, where Alien had the spit that has acid. It's like tongue kissing the alien, and the spit is like going down there and burning your whole throat. You're like, oh fuck, no, and it's just long lasting. You couldn't get the taste out of your mouth.
Well, I wouldn't drink alligator sperm, and I wouldn't tongue kiss alien.
Yeah, alligator sperm, I found out, is more fruity kind of like because it has like the melon ball kind of like liqueur.
Yeah.
It had like the pineapple, I think, in it, and it had like something else. And then that seemed like it was more bearable than it is with the other drinks that happen.
I never order this drink, but I love Malibu and pineapple juice. But I know if I order that at the bar, people are going to snicker that I'm getting Malibu and pineapple juice. You know,
Hey,
I love it.
you do it, whatever's good for you, then what's better for your whole stomach and shit.
Yeah, I know, but I'm like, give me Jack Light Rocks, but really, I want Malibu and pineapple juice.
Yeah, yeah, just make it look like it's Malibu. Just put the hot jack in it,
Yeah.
you know. But it was like we call it my oh, what the hell is it? The you were talking about like getting drunk and oh yeah, the family like you come home drunk.
Uh-huh.
I had two instances. One, I got home from the bar. It was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting on my bed. Now my room is like well, I mean you can't really tell from the back thing, but the room is like the size of a like a living room, not a living room, but a small like den.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting on my bed, and there's a kitchen right next door, and then all of a sudden, I did not know my dad was watching me trying to get undressed. So you ever, folks, have you ever gotten like dressed? I mean, drunk undressing?
Yeah.
It's a feat that you can be able to get your shoes and not fly onto the curtain rod.
Yeah.
And I had these boots, like work boots, and I got them off and I flung them, and it landed on the curtain rod like you would see shoes hanging from the telephone pole, I guess, like that shows like where the people are living or something. I don't know how that goes, but
Yeah.
all of a sudden after I woke up the next day and I could not find my boots, and my dad looked at me. He goes, they're on the curtain rod where when you flinged them, we call last night, you drunk bastard. And I'm like, you were there? He goes, I was standing right in front of you while you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, the second instance was when I was obviously drunk at a bar, but I didn't get a ride home. Major snowstorm. It was a what the hell? VFW hall. And friends of mine, we worked at a place called, well, we worked in a bakery. Let's say that. We worked in the bakery. We all went to, it was Christmas time. We went to this VFW. We all go down there like every Christmas, have a party and everything else. And I went to the bathroom. I come out and everybody is fucking gone. Like there's no way. The bartender's there. He goes, everybody fucking left. It was gone. We're shutting down and that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, how the fuck am I? And this is before everybody else had cell phones.
Right.
This is where the telephone booths were in there.
Yeah.
And
No Uber.
yeah, no Uber, no. I mean, they had taxis, but at that point, I'm like, I didn't know what number to call for a taxi at that time. So I'm
Right.
like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna walk it. And it was a snowstorm as well.
Yeah.
So I walked from there. It was like I think it was like 5:45,
Hmm.
and I got home. It was like 7:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
and I had to go to work at 12 in the afternoon.
It's rough.
So I was like, I got home, and my dad was he was up. You could smell the coffee, just brewing. The Maxwell House, that was just making the coffee, and you get in there, and you can everything's reeking on you.
Yeah.
And there's my dad looking. He goes, "Ah, fuck."
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm dead. I'm like, I'm just gonna go right to bed and not say a word. And my dad just looked at me while, making the eggs, and then say a word. And he goes, "I'm gonna fucking get him later on."
I, I have a friend. She just turned 69. Which again, it's funny.
Your favorite number?
I know, but she did just turn 69, and she's a waitress. She bartends. She's been working in restaurants like forever, her whole life really, and she can drink like she'll just drink all night. But the funny thing is, and I knew I had to start watching my drinking because we closed the bar. I was with a group of people, and we ended up having an after party like where this lady lives.
Mm-hmm.
but she lives like in an old folks home, right? So, and it's not like a 55 and over. This looks like a hospital when you walk in, and they have these apartments, and when you walk in, there's like security. So I'm walking into like the retirement home with like I've got like a 12 pack of beer on my shoulder. I have to sign in with its security and stuff. So, you know, and there were a lot of people there. A lot of them were doing drugs and stuff. I don't do that, you know. I had some drinks, but I left at like probably 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was almost like it felt like I was doing the walk of shame through the retirement community, because they're looking at me like, "Do you have fun? You know, throw a hip out?" You know, they didn't know what was going on. And she literally got called into the, like, she likes to smoke pot, so she does it like out her bedroom window, right?
Yeah.
The only problem is there's a second floor, so it's going right upstairs into the apartment above her, and it's like a 75-year-old couple that lived up there. So she got so many complaints. She was told like one more party, and she's going to get, you know, kicked out of the old folks' home.
That's one way of doing it. If you're going to get kicked out, you might as well just smoke pot and see what goes on.
But drinking makes funny things happen sometimes, you know.
What got you into doing you know, comedy as it is? Was it something that, you know, you're like, listen, I'm gonna do this because this other thing, my hobby fell through, or I don't know.
It was one of these things where I always wrote. I always had in high school, I was like creative writer. You know, I'm still in touch with my creative writing teacher from high school. That was actually a class. And in my 20s, I would write. Right. And then when I got in my late 20s, I wanted to, I don't know. I just, it was one of those things. I had all this stuff I had written, but I didn't know what to do with it, you know? And I happened to be at a comedy at Governor's in Levittown. I happened to be there one night, and they announced that there was going to be a stand-up comedy class. And, you know, I took the class. There were about 12 of us in the class. And for about, I guess, 6 weeks, once a week, we would go to class, and we would just like, I learned it's one thing to be funny, but like that class taught me how to actually write a joke, like have a setup, like a premise and a punchline, a setup and instead of just rambling on telling stories and not having a lot of laughs. It took my stories down to set up, punch, like 5 laughs a minute, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We did the graduation show, and, you know, it's intoxicating. You know, it was intoxicating. And, you know, over 20 years later, there are two guys, especially in that class. Most of my class is not doing comedy anymore, but there's 3 of us. There's 2 guys that we're close friends. You know, our anniversary just passed. Every April 24th, it's kind of like our comedy anniversary. That was when we did our first show.
Is that the same guy that I met, I think, a couple of times?
I don't know. No, you know what's funny? I don't think you met these guys. There were other guys we met soon after that we've been friends with just as long, you know, like, because we started doing open mics. So like, there's a guy named Tommy that you've met. Tommy is also friends with Keith Fitz. So Tommy started doing comedy around the same time, but at another club. So we met at like open mics, and then we just kind of became friends, you know. And there's this is the crazy, sometimes luck happens too, right? There was a guy out in Medford. His name is Rick Morgan, and he had a comedy club called the Gateway Comedy Club. And he started doing a thing called the Thursday Night Comics. So every Thursday night, we would go to his room, and we would do a show. And it was mainly new comics. It was an open mic, but we started to build like a crowd. And there were about 8 or 9 of us that became like the Thursday Night Comics. We got on every Thursday at Rick's club, you know? Yeah. And then my first paid show was for Rick Morgan. About 3 months later, I hosted a show at like a comedy club. And that was awesome. You know, I got to do a live show. And then a lot of people know about comedy clubs and stuff, but on Long Island, they also do like volunteer firehouses. Firehouses are a big thing. They do comedy shows for fundraisers. Yeah. So Rick was like the king of the firehouse shows. So now I went from like doing the open mic as a Thursday night comic to getting my first paid comedy gig with Rick. He started putting me on these firehouse shows where I would do like 10-minute sets in front of 300 rowdy fire department people, and it was talk about intoxicating. That was so much fun, and because of Rick, like people are like Long Island. Like I met Robert Klein. Robert Klein did the Gateway Comedy Cellar in Medford, and we hung out with Robert Klein. I met Jimmy Walker at McGuire's from Good Times. I opened for him.
JJ.
Yeah, I opened for JJ at McGuire's. Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back, Kotter. I met him. It was, and this was not like the A club on Long Island. This was like the B club.
Yeah.
But it was great, and it just all that combines into it being intoxicating and fun. It was the early years were the greatest years. They really were.
Yeah, I mean, you got like cover good stuff and all that. Hey, you went to a collective consciousness.
Yeah,
You're in a cat somewhat place.
Comedy is one of those things where Saturday night you'll be in a club and it's sold out, and Sunday night you're doing a bar gig in front of 30 people, but you're getting paid and you're doing comedy, so that's pretty cool too.
I mean, do you think that anybody can do? Anybody can do comedy. I think it is if they put their mind to it.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that I think if you can just stand up there and be in a lot of people just looking at you. I say kudos to everybody else that does it, like yourself, Key, and everybody else. Because, like I said, if I try to get in there, I don't know. I mean, I would fall on my face.
Anybody can do it, right? Like it's not like you're trying to fly or something, right? Anybody could do comedy, but there are, I don't want to say rules, because there are always people that break the rules, but there's like there is like a, I don't even know if science is the word, but there is like a rhythm to it. There's a way to do it, and there are some people that they don't take, I don't want to call it, it's like constructive criticism, right? But if you're doing a joke and nobody's laughing, it's not funny. But you'll have comics that go, no, that's funny. I killed. It's like, well, how did you kill? Nobody's laughing. Nobody books you, It's kind of like one of the things you have to do is when you're new, you're doing those bar shows. It's kind of like elevating into the clubs. If the clubs aren't using you, then you either have to kind of change what you're doing or maybe it's not for you,
Yeah. I mean, because, like, if I was going to do comedy, and like you were saying about the whole, like, there's a preference and a punchline.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, everybody goes and tells stories. And then that's me. Like, I would go and tell a story of it. And it'd be, like, a funny story. But,
And you could do that. You could do stories. The thing is, if you don't have a couple of laughs per minute, though, you're just up there telling stories and no one's laughing. So you have to construct. We all tell stories, but you have to have punchlines in the story so people are laughing.
Like I was telling Key, I'm like, oh, you should tell the story about like when we went to like Wamboozy and and all that. He goes, yeah, we would get it. He goes, but I don't think they would get it.
Yeah.
It's like we could do this and it could be the funniest shit. To us, it's funny. But to them, it's like,
Even now I have premises that like my friends and I, like we talked, it's almost like mental support, your comedy friends, but we also bounce jokes off each other and stuff.
Yeah.
And we all have stuff that we think it's hilarious, but every time we do it on stage, it dies, and sometimes it could be the placement of one or two words or things like that,
Yeah. It's like the point where it's like what the hell, and you get this once in a while, or not once in a while, I mean, but when you think you're gonna do it and then you're like like, oh shit, what the fuck, kept on going.
It happens sometimes. But yeah, what's funny too, when we write new stuff, it could also be us. We could like one of the things I've learned is the stuff I know that works, I deliver that with high energy, right? Or I have that high confidence level. If it's a new joke, maybe I'm coming off as not as confident on stage, So I'm typically not going to abandon it once, but it's one of those things where it could be the way I deliver it too. Sometimes might not be the material.
Is it you ever get that point where you get to like when you get on stage and And folks, this guy is the funniest guy I ever seen. There's many comics that makes me laugh, and Key makes me laugh as well. But he is like up there with the top five. And it's like, what happens if you tell like a joke and, like you said, nobody gets it or something? You'll get that like cricket moment.
Yeah.
Does that do something to your self esteem? Does it do it like, like, oh shit, really? That's my best one.
I tell you, when I was new, it could be crippling. It could wreck my set. Now, you learn stuff like this. Like, let's say I have some new jokes I'm going to try, right?
Yeah.
I don't open with them. I open with my tried and true stuff that I know works. I put the new jokes in the middle.
Yeah.
And then I close with stuff that I know works. So, but that stuff in the middle, hopefully they already think I'm funny because the beginning was good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do the new jokes. If the new jokes don't hit, like I'm at a point now where I can I'll make a joke about the joke not hitting,
Yeah.
Johnny Carson used to do that. He would tell a joke that he didn't think would work, but he'd have like a backup joke. He'd have another joke to use about how bad the previous joke was, like
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
yeah, like savers,
Yeah. But like when you were talking about the comedy roast for Key.
Yeah.
Now, in your opinion, we all seen the comedy roasts like Dean Martin,
Yeah.
Johnny Carson, and everything about that. And those guys are the raunchiest
Oh yeah.
motherfuckers you could think of, and they tell like jokes that you could, or cracks that you could not do to this day.
Oh yeah.
Because stuff, and everybody is very cynical.
Mm-hmm.
What's the
Woke. Yeah, woke. Me too. Woke. Yeah. I mean, there's so much.
Well, they're very politically correct. And it's like you can't just go and put that. Your jokes. You want to do the jokes that Johnny Carson did, and this one, and so. Do you think that Key's roast was more raunchier than?
Well, I mean, speaking for myself, can we use bad language? We're allowed to use bad language.
Yeah. Say fuck, curse.
I'm a pretty clean comic, but at the roast, Key has bright red hair and stuff. Yeah. And I don't remember how I said it, but I said something like Key looks like he was born when like Carrot Top fucked Pippi Longstocking in the ass. I mean, we're brutal at roast,
Oh God! I mean, the stuff, because my girlfriend was there, and all of a sudden she's like, "Holy shit! I hope he's okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is nothing to Key. He'll be like, yeah, whatever. He'll find some other shit to come back."
Yeah, Key hit me back and stuff, and
Yeah.
The fun thing too, like that roast, the audience was basically like spectators, right?
Yeah.
But like a lot of the comedy roasts, you'll wreck on other comics that are in the back of the room that aren't even involved with the roast. If you see them, you'll just wreck on them,
Yeah.
It's like all, the stuff you see on TV, pretty much the people are sitting on the stage. But like Long Island roasts, like if you're sitting at the bar, you're fair game. They're gonna hit, if you're a comic, they're gonna hit you.
You're in that room because oh my God. I mean, I sat there and I'm like, oh my God, Key's gonna fucking roast me now.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I know him for like a long time, and I'm like, oh shit, man, he has and then he even said it too. He goes, man, I got stories on you that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, I gotta watch my P's and Q's. Yeah.
And they were like wrecking on a guy who books me and stuff. He wasn't even there. They were wrecking on that guy. They were happy with that. I mean, no, that stuff's great, and I love that. I love that.
They gotta do that again. We gotta do like some kind of roast on somebody again. That's like fun. Like folks, and people that's on Long Island, folks. Anybody that's listening to this that's on Long Island, go follow, go and look for your comedy thing. Forget about that. Like, because of COVID. I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Go have a good time. Go down there. Wear your mask or whatever you want to do. But just get out.
Talking about the roast, though, one of the guys who taught me comedy in the comedy class at Governors, his name's Peter Bales. He's He was one of Rodney Dangerfield's comics. He was on like Last Comic Standing when Rosie O'Donnell was hosting it. Like
Oh yeah.
he does a lot of stuff now with Jackie the Joke Man Martling, but Peter Bales, like I aspire to be like Peter. Like he hosts stuff like those roasts, and he's so good. He's so good at like hosting, and there's so many. It's one of those things like there are some comics that don't want to be like the MC. They think that's almost like hosting a show is, oh no, the stronger comics are at the end. But I can tell you, like, especially at a roast, having a guy like Peter that's a strong like MC that keeps things going and is funny, it's like if you ever see that Peter is doing a roast, that's one you want to see, because he has so many memorable lines that comics laugh about from the roast, you know.
Yeah.
And when I watch him, that's where I learned. Like I really learned a lot watching the guys before me, like how to do a roast. And it's like Peter will hit everybody in the room. It's the greatest thing, you know.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I think the roasts are like the best ones to like. I mean, no, you watch all comedians, you know, that's great. You know, you go and watch them as it is. But then when you have a roast, and you know, that's like the heavy shit that comes out.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's funny, and you kind of have to have a good sense of humor. But like, if you have a bad sense of humor about it, you're gonna look bad. You know, like you kind of have to live with it. Like the first roast I ever did was this guy Vince Antona. He passed away about 10 years ago. I love Vince. He's a great guy, but he was a ventriloquist. You know.
Oh, nice.
I almost felt bad, like ripping on Vince, because he was such a nice guy to me. You know.
Yeah.
And I remember going into the roast. I got asked to be like on the dais, and I was a newer comic, you know.
Yeah.
I remember the thing was start. And I said to Vince, like, you know, I love you, right? Like, I almost feel bad going up there and making fun of you. And Vince was like, Chris, this is my roast. You better hit me with everything you've got, you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be mad if you don't, you know. And that's just how it is.
Yeah, it's. I hope I'm not at no end of fucking the roast. I tell you right now. I mean, I could take jokes and all that, but it's just like if there's like some personal shit. Like,
You know what's funny about Vince? Like, we were all joking that Vince drank a lot, but his family was there, and I don't know if they realized how much Vince drank when he was on the road. You know, so they were kind of, you know, I had heard that they were a little, you know, surprised that he drank.
You open some can of worms on that one. You're like, oh, sorry, yeah.
And like my friend Eric is a comic, and he wears a toupee, you know, and I mean his website is hairclubcomic.com. He jokes about his hairpiece on stage,
Yeah.
but at that time he didn't, and it was at a roast that Peter kind of called him out for the toupee, you know, and that was kind of a touchy thing, you know, but it was at a roast that it came out. He goes, Peter said something like, and there he is, folks, Eric. He claims it's real. And
it's real, all right, somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what, you know, that's what the.
Yeah. So pretty much we're getting close to the end. It's like, you know, I usually do like an hour or so, you know. Where can they find you? What's your next gig? And where is like a thing where they can look you up? I guess we call it, you know.
I mean, it's funny. Like I when I was still with my wife at the time, she was telling me I had to grow up, and I was building my website which is notmature.com. You know, so you know, that's where you can find me, is mature.com, and I have links to like my Facebook and everything on there.
Okay.
I pretty much work every weekend. Typically, I'm at a point now where I'm mainly local on Long Island. I travel a little bit, but not a lot. Like I know next week I'm going to be at McGuire's out in Bohemia, which is one of my favorite clubs. That's, you know, all the Governors clubs are awesome. I'm at Governors in Levittown a lot, McGuire's in Bohemia, the Brokerage in Belmore.
Yeah.
That's typically where you'll find me. But I'm happy to see that I have some Firehouse shows coming up because of COVID, doing for a couple of years. So like May 14th, I'm going to be at the Islip Firehouse. I can't wait to see them. Those are always, you know, off the hook, as they say. You know, it's nuts.
What do you say, May 14th, you said?
Yeah, May 14th, I'm going to be at the Islip Firehouse. Love those guys and gals.
All right, cool. So, all right, folks, this is usually and towards more like we just did a whole thing of where you
Mhm.
can find them. You can find me. Sorry, I just drank a whole bunch of iced tea and it's giving me the burps.
Oh, yeah.
Ready? So, go to Linktree, linktr.ee/tattoo squid podcast, all one word. That's TA2 SQUID. Like you said, there's links. There's links for everything that I go to, which is YouTube, Instagram, whatever. You find it, you can see that little squid on there. And Chris, thank you for being on. You're actually the one non-podcast person that
Really? Okay, cool.
like for the second season I had, you're like the very first like non-podcast, which I'm hoping for more, that which is great. I have the podcast, but I've seen other people have celebrities, and you are in my book, you're a celebrity as it is because you're all over the place and doing your gigs and and
Appreciate it.
getting out there. So,
The world needs
uh,
to laugh now.
what's that?
We need to laugh now, don't we? The world. We need to laugh.
Yeah, definitely, man. We could, it's like we gotta have more comedy gigs, more, things to like go out and see. Everybody else is like, oh, I'm gonna stay home and, you know, watch, Bianca, somebody, whatever, just doing something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna watch porn when I'm at it too, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know, but
It happens all the time. People look up and go, "Thanks for the laughs. I needed that."
yeah, and then also when folks when go to a comedy show, watch the comics, and if they go to like a diner, go to the diner too. Go and
Hang
hang out.
out.
You
We
know,
love it.
hang out. They joke around. You joke around. You have a good time. You be there till like nowadays probably 11, maybe 12. You
Pay
know,
our bill. Pay the bill for us.
yeah, and tip them, and also give them we call it a free like food kind of thing, and then you go back and check it out some more. You never know.
Yeah.
But now it's the point where I'm going to talk to the guests afterwards, for a few minutes and see if they like the show, and see what goes on. So, everybody, have a good night, and I'll see you on the flip side.
All right. Thanks.